Welcome back, third graders. I'm back with Mrs. Tufaro, and we are going to share round 2 of our poetry unit. Last week, just to review, we talked to you about lines and stanzas. We focused on nonfiction poems, and we also talked about the poetry characteristics, what poems always have, what they often have, and what they sometimes have. And on your screen right now, you can see our anchor chart. Poems always can be fiction or nonfiction. There are different kinds of poetry. Poets use fewer words to tell about an idea or to express a feeling. Poets use rhythm, and poets place words to help you know how to read the poem. Poems often have words that help you see, hear, or feel things. They sometimes use rhyme, not always, and they are often printed, or they're sometimes, printed in shapes to help you understand. And we learned that those poems are called what, Mrs. Tufaro?
Concrete poems.
Concrete poems. So in just a second, we're going to share with you our first fiction poem called Batters Up. Batter up. I practiced my swing as I walked to the plate. My last at bat still fresh on my mind, a strikeout. I dig my cleats into the red clay while I stand and wait. Curve coming at ya, howled my coach. Smack! Right into the mitt it slammed. Strike one, piped the ump. I stare down at my big barrel. Time to get it done. My heart is pounding like a bass drum. I watch for the pitch. I swing my trusted bat. Crack! The ball swooshes past beyond third base. My legs start to carry me. I hear my teammates shouting. I slide confidently into second base with a billow of dust behind me as a satisfied smile stretches across my face. Please pause your screen and go ahead and number the lines in this poem. Did you get 21 lines? If so, you are correct. Nice job, boys and girls. Okay, so now we're going to talk about some new vocabulary words to expand your vocabulary. So look at line 6. Curve coming at ya, howled my coach. What does the word howled mean? Use your context clues. Mrs. Tufaro, what does howled mean?
When it says curve coming at you and then it's an exclamation point, that's kind of giving me a clue that it's being said with emotion, right? Exclamation point. So, and howled, I know coaches are not going to sit there by the sideline and whisper something to me. So I'm thinking howled means yelled or said really loudly. Howled.
Good job, Mrs. Tufaro. Howled is the same as yelled in this situation. Let's now look at line 20. And I'm going to actually start with line 19 so we can hear the whole line. It says, I slide confidently into second base with a billow of dust behind me as a satisfied smile stretches across my face. So in line 20, what does the word billow mean?
Well, I remember even playing a little softball myself, and when I would slide into second base, there was always so much dry dirt around that it would puff up like a big cloud. So I think billow means cloud of dust.
That is correct. Billow is a cloud. Good job, Mrs. Tufaro. Okay, so now we are going to talk about the narrator of this poem. Mrs. Tufaro, who do you think is telling this poem?
Well, as I read it, it keeps using the pronoun I. So I practice, I walk, I dig, and it keeps I stare. So it's definitely a player. as I read through, I do not have any context clues or evidence that it is a boy or a girl, or even if it's a young person or an old person. So the only thing I could say is the narrator is somebody who plays softball or baseball.
Very good. Okay.
So the next thing we're going to do, is if you remember our anchor chart that was just up, that we, in poems, the poet often has us connect to the feeling of something, or we can hear something, or we could see something. And this poem, Batter Up, it is so visual. I see so much, I hear a lot, and I even have some feelings. So I'm going to focus on what I see first. So lines 4, I have 4 and 10 written down. So on line 4, I dig my cleats into the red clay. So I know Miss Duke has an explanation for that she'd like to tell you, or what she sees.
That line was a great visual for me because I could picture the player walking up to the home plate, getting ready to take their swing, and they always place their feet first to get their stance ready. So I could picture the player digging their cleats into that red clay dirt and getting ready to take their first swing. So that was a great visual for me.
Yeah. And let's read line 10 and see what you're thinking you see in this one. I stare down my big barrel. Now, right before that, he just got, or she just got a strike 1, and now they're staring down my big barrel. So I can picture this. I can see it. What do you see when you read that line? What does it mean to you, Miss Duke?
A big barrel to me is the big bat. The end of the bat is called the barrel. So I could picture that they have different size bats now, and sometimes players will purchase a big barrel bat and they think that it helps them have a better hit. So that's what I'm picturing, is they're staring down at the end of their bat.
And as a non-player, I really don't play this either softball or baseball. I didn't even really know what the word barrel meant. So if you students were like that, you could still picture that it was a bat, right? So now, but now we were all educated, of course, by Miss Duke, that the end of the bat is called barrel. All right, in this poem, there's great, I can hear a lot, but there's 2 words. Remember our anchor chart that sometimes they will often put words in a spot that makes us stop or think about or pause on. So there's 2 words that are all by themselves and capitalized that I can totally hear as if I was sitting there next to the players. So on line 7, I'm going to read around it though, but you see the word on line 7 all by itself says smack. Curve coming at ya, howled my coach. Smack. Right into the mitt, it slammed. Now that word smack, you could hear it. You're like we're sitting there, right? It smacks in real hard against that leather mitt, right? Smack. So I can hear that. On line 15, the same thing. It's crack. Let's read around it. I swing my trusted bat. Crack. The ball swooshes past beyond third base. So when that ball makes contact with that bat, it makes that crack sound. So I can really hear that and hear the ball swishing down past third base. Also in this poem, there's a lot of feelings, okay? How the player is feeling. And if you go back up to, let's see what line it is, line 2 and 3. I'm going to read it and pause, and I want you all to think of what you think that player is feeling. My last at bat, still fresh on my mind, a strikeout. How do you feel when you're about to do something you know you already struck out at? How do you think that player is feeling? Miss Duke, how do you think the player's feeling as they come back up to the plate?
They're feeling that they're not very happy. They're not confident in themselves, and they're very nervous.
I agree. I mean, after you strike out, you feel like you might have let your team down and you want to do well for the team and for yourself. So I agree. Good job. On line 12, let's see. My heart is pounding loud like a bass drum. My heart is pounding loud like a bass drum. Of course, that is a simile using like or as, comparing two things. So the heart, think about your heart when it's beating really, really fast. How are you feeling normally if your heart is beating really fast and you hear it like a drum, like that? How do you think that player is feeling at that moment? Miss Duke?
Very nervous. Don't want to let anyone down. They already have one strike, so their nerves are really, I guess, high right now because they don't want to let down their team, like you said earlier, and they know they have one strike, so they have two more swings to go. So nerves are coming out.
Exactly. Now, the end of the poem, 19, 20, and 21, has another really great feeling that we feel at the end of the poem. I slide confidently into second base with a billow of dust behind me as a satisfied smile stretches across my face. How is the player now feeling? Miss Duke?
Happy, confident, like it says, I slide confidently into second base. They now know they can do it. So they have that belief back in themselves that maybe all their hard work is finally paid off. They didn't give up. So very happy.
Which leads us perfectly into talking about theme. Now, last week, Miss Duke and I worked with theme with Miss Duke's class. So we're going to review for everybody what theme means. And when I teach theme, I like to say, after you read something, whether it's a poem or a book or any piece of literature, sometimes the author or poet wants you to learn a little lesson that you can take into your own life. So theme is the lesson or moral we can learn from the story. Miss Duke?
And the overall theme of batters or batter up is perseverance. You could see at the beginning of this poem that the player was feeling unhappy, not confident in themselves, but they never gave up. They stayed with it, they kept trying, and then by the end, their confidence was back. They knew they could do it, and all their hard work had paid off. So definitely perseverance.
And so in your own life, you can take that into your own life. Persevere, even if you at first struggle at something. It could be math, it could be baseball or softball. Not to give up, to keep trying and persevere through whatever is challenging and hard in life. Great theme.
Yes.
The last thing, go ahead.
I was just say, so boys and girls, as you're reading poems this week on your own, remember, think about the overall theme that that poem, the message that poem is trying to teach you.
And not all poems will have theme, but some will. So look through that, just like Miss Duke said. So the last thing is author's purpose. Now, authors can write for a variety of different reasons. Two we're going to focus on is this poet teaching us something? Is it educational? Or is it just for entertainment? So if it's educational, maybe they would be teaching us how to play the sport of softball or baseball. But I don't think it's educational. Miss Duke, what do you think?
I think this is definitely a poem for entertainment. Like you said, it's not teaching us how to swing a bat or how to successfully get a hit. It's focusing more on the enjoyment of maybe at first you didn't succeed, but you kept with it and then you did conquer your fears. So I think this is definitely a poem for entertainment.
Excellent. Well, Miss Duke found a really great poem here because it has so much we've been talking about. It has the narrator, which is the player. It has theme, which is perseverance. Lots of feeling, hearing, seeing. I really enjoyed this poem.
Yes, it was a good one. And boys and girls, I will be putting this on your parent material guide for you to practice reading as you are reading poems throughout the week.